At 6 a.m. I think it's 6 p.m. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We have one hearing from citizens, right? Come on up. Hello.
Let's do it. Talking to this? Okay. So, hello. My name is Catherine Hicks Rodriguez, and I am a 26-year-old resident of the city of Norwood, Ohio. Thank you for allowing me the time to speak directly to you all today. I am here to request the Metro system adopt IC smart card technology for use by the public. This technology is over 50 years old, and it has been proven reliable internationally and expandable in its use cases. It allows for the direct loading of cash or a debit balance onto a card, typically at a kiosk or at a point-of-sale system. Our buses and transit centers are already outfitted with IC card readers for Metro staff, so the technology and the infrastructure is already there. And with the recent transit levy having been passed in Hamilton County, I suspect that resources could be allocated to making this possibility reality. Other Midwestern cities have already adopted IC card technology. Dayton TapPay, Columbus Coda Smart Card, Louisville MyTark, Pittsburgh Connect Card, Indianapolis MyKey, Minneapolis St. Paul GoTo Card, Chicago Venture Payment System. But for some reason, our region outsources our electronic transit payment to a third-party wayfinding application. And while the transit app is largely useful and reliable, it is unreliable if someone doesn't have their phone, if their phone is dying or near dead, and although many buses do have charging ports, we don't always carry charging cables on our person, if they don't have a credit card from which to buy a ticket via the transit app, or if they don't have a smartphone at all. And while those smartphones can certainly fuddle, or while people without smartphones can certainly fuddle with cash at the front of the bus, this is not ideal for proper timekeeping, onboard safety, and keeping payment variances in check. And while Metro offers passes for repeated use, these are admittedly flimsy and frankly wasteful of paper. IC preloaded cards, on the other hand, are accurate, always reliable, easily refillable, recyclable, and reusable, and expandable in their use case, as they can be used to purchase goods at stores via direct payment or by accumulation of points in a rewards program in partnerships with grocery stores, convenience stores, etc. For example, if you redeem 20 bus rides worth of taps, this could result in enough points being accumulated to receive a small malt at UDF, something like that. This would naturally encourage both Metro ridership and patronage of local businesses. Besides this, IC cards are admittedly very fun and cute to use. I believe they encourage ridership as such. As an anecdote, I lived in Japan from 2016 to 2020, and using my IC card, which I kept in my phone case, to ride the train, it was always a terribly fun exercise, pinging it at the entrance gate and using it later to buy an ice cream at a convenience store at my destination. It was easy peasy, and I had a sense of civic pride riding public transportation. With the current payment scheme, payment feels frankly esoteric, and honestly, it discourages ridership, at least in my case. And I believe that through the mass adoption of an IC card scheme, we can capture the same whimsy of that of patronizing public transit in great cities like Chicago, New York, or even Tokyo. So in short, I am petitioning for SORTA to conduct a feasibility study towards the eventual widespread adoption of IC card technology for use by the general public. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Nobody else had signed up, I'm assuming. I don't see a big crowd. Okay. Mary, did you want to jump in and say anything?
I just want to see y'all at work.
All right, there you go.
Here for your support.
Watch Rod. Okay, then we will keep moving on, and I think we can certainly investigate that technology, right?
We're actually investigating that right now.
Oh, terrific.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, what we have is the pleasure of welcoming 2 new members to our board. So, Kim, why don't you take it away?
Yeah. So I'm just going to say the oath, and you can just say I do at the end if you want to raise your hand. So, do you solemnly swear that you will, as a member of the Board of Trustees of the Southwest Ohio Regional Transit Authority, support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, that you will honestly, faithfully, and impartially perform the duties of your office, that you will not be personally interested, directly or indirectly, in any contract let by SORTA, that you will not violate or knowingly permit to be violated any of the statutes of this state covering the operation of a transit authority, and that you will perform the duties of your office to the best of your ability, so help you God.
I do.
Great. Welcome.
All right, well, that's fun. So, as you know, the transit systems is by county, but Trent, you represent Butler County on our board, and Krista, you represent Warren, correct? So, thrilled to have you on board. I think the regional nature of this is really critical, and there's a lot of good work going on there, starting with the access system, right, the paratransit system, but lots of cooperation to do. So, we're thrilled to have you on board. Maybe if you could take 2 minutes and introduce yourselves to the team, that'd be great.
Sure. My name's Trent Emmenecker. My wife, Emily, and I moved here 6 years ago. Prior to that, I was active duty in the Marine Corps for about 11 years. I left active duty. I went to graduate school. I'm still in the reserves, so 2 weeks ago, this past Saturday, I just got back from my 2 weeks of annual training. So I leave every now and then for a week or two throughout the year. I work for myself now from my basement, mostly focused on helping small to medium-sized technology companies, generally still in the startup phase, but some of them a little more mature, but have remained small, as they execute either new products or expand their product lines to new areas of their business. My sons are 6 and 4, and they are running around the house right now. Since I was just gone for 2 weeks, my wife is ready for me to get back home. And I am too. because
Good
there
thing
are a
you're
lot
here
of-
then, exactly.
Yeah, that's me.
Welcome aboard.
Thanks.
I'm Krista Lewis. As you noted, I represent Warren County. I've lived in Lebanon my whole life. Nothing very exciting, but I work in Mason, so also still in Warren County. I'm the Vice President of Finance for a staffing and consulting firm. I have 3 grown children. My baby will graduate high school this year, so that's a little scary, exciting all at the same time. But yeah, that's me.
Well, welcome to you too, and I'm sure everyone will reach out and make sure that you feel welcome. And as you have questions, there's a lot of sort of language that is very specific to transit that gets here, and so I apologize if you have questions. Raise your hand and say I didn't know what that meant. I will talk too fast and assume too much, so I apologize. But we're here to help you, right? So help us, help you.
Ask lots of questions.
Okay.
Mary was a board member for
5 or 6 years.
5 or 6 years, and she had so much fun. She likes to come and watch the meeting. No?
I told her I was never going to do that.
Ron, that's not part of Ron's plan, but he's never leaving the board. So anyway, we're thrilled to have you here and looking forward to getting you engaged in the process. So let's see. I guess obviously folks saw that a judge, I can't remember where the judge was, that Florida that knocked down the mask mandate. So the organization today decided to not require masks because it's hard to enforce with the government or with the judge making that ruling. We're continuing to encourage people to wear masks for their own safety, but not mandating them. So that was a change today. And as far as I know, that went fairly smoothly.
It went fairly smoothly. Tank also did the same thing today.
So we're glad that's working forward and people are staying safe. There's the Golden Bus Awards on Thursday night.
Music Hall.
All board members are invited,
All
right?
board members are
Has
involved,
everyone
right.
RSVP'd one of the others, Chanel?
Adrian.
Have people RSVP'd? Do you know what the board members are showing up?
Some of them have.
Okay. If you haven't RSVP'd, do y'all? Okay. Make sure our new board members are aware of the celebration of the employees,
I think there are 3 board members that RSVP'd, if I recall correctly.
including me.
Including
Just want to make sure I did it too. But it's an exciting event, so please do, if you have a chance, come by for that.
You want to talk about him riding the electric bus?
Oh yeah, and so we were talking about this a little bit beforehand. So people remember that we announced last month, I guess, that we had bought 2 new electric access buses. Robert tested them out on the trip in today, right? You rode on the new buses,
Yes,
so
it was a good trip. It was a smooth ride, not just because the driver was a good driver, but the vehicle felt solid. It felt like it's holding the road. I didn't feel like I was in a little minivan being switched around. No, it was stable. And I'm looking forward to seeing it operational
more broadly. Yeah.
very, very, very soon. And the only thing I had a concern about was that some of my friends who are blind and who might be hard of hearing, that vehicle is so quiet, it makes, for our practical purposes, no sound. And it's stable on the ground, so you don't even feel like you're moving. And the only thing I was concerned about was, whether some of my friends who are relying on being able to hear a little bit or feel some vibration in order to get around, they might have a little bit of a complaint that the vehicle is too quiet.
Right, okay. So I think we
So
had
it's
to
gonna
make
be
note of that.
interesting as we go forward.
Right, the absence of sound may cause some problems for
Yes.
some riders, so I have
Yes.
to think our way through it, but awesome.
And
The
the
vehicle.
driver was telling me that the vehicle also has solar power. I didn't realize that. But it's both quiet and it's going to have a good amount of fuel advantage because the sun can also recharge it.
Yeah, we're going green.
As it's idling.
Step 1, right? No more diesel buses, right, Carol?
Yeah, that is a vehicle that we have on loan right now. It is not our vehicle, but it's very similar to the vehicles that we'll be buying. It is actually out on Vine Street right now. It'll be giving Robert a ride home tonight. So anyone that would like to, when they leave the board meeting, if you want to go hop on it, take a look at it, kick the tires. It's sitting right out on Vine Street.
Tires. You'll find they don't move. I
Yeah, I was
mean-
gonna he meant figuratively, but
And Robert, thank you for volunteering.
Oh, my pleasure. And it got me here on time.
Even better. So because we're still awaiting, we're still awaiting 2 more board members, or
At least one. Let me text Heidi.
so we're gonna skip over any kind of action items right now because we can't vote until we have a quorum. So let's go to the financial report. I hate to do that to you, Cindy.
No worries.
But it's all good news you have to share in any event.
All right, so we're going to skip ahead, and as soon as we get the financial report up. Great. So what we're seeing here are is the financial report for the 3 months that are ending March 31st, 2022. We're seeing the actual versus budget for the month and for the year to date, and also then the prior year to date at the end. Just heads up, next month we're right now in the middle of our forecasting process, so we will start benchmarking next month to the forecast. But right now we're still looking at our budget. The operating surplus before any adjustments were made was $3.7 million for the month and $10.5 million year to date. With the capital revenue was recorded to offset the operating surplus to build our capital reserve. The total revenue that's reported here for the month of March, or $14.7 million, was favorable to budget by $2.2 million, or 17.6%. Year-to-date total revenue of $42.8 million was $7 million favorable year-to-date, or 19.5%. Looking at our key drivers for revenue, I'm going to take a look. Start with fares. Our fare revenue was unfavorable budget by about $291,000, or 26.1% for the month. The March non-CPS ridership for fixed route was unfavorable to budget by 7.5%. Access ridership was favorable to budget, which I didn't even be able to say that. This is ridership by 12.1%. So the unfavorable metro fare revenue of $286,000 that you see here for the month compared to budget was primarily due to the Metro Fare Free Week promotion. That promotion yielded the highest weekday average since the pandemic began in March of 2020. So that's what you see then, that offset it for that week. Our other contract revenue, and other contract revenue are the contracts we have with the counties, businesses, and universities. It is all in there. And it is unfavorable, was unfavorable, $37,000, or 24% for the month. The unfavorable revenue is entirely due to the slower than we had anticipated in the budget when we did it in November for the contracts with businesses and universities. So that will be adjusted in the forecast. The next biggest contributor, frankly, is, and continues to be, were awarded a ARP competitive grant. That's the American Rescue Plan. That was not anticipated in the budget because we were just awarded it last month. The unbudgeted revenue recorded for the first quarter of $6.3 million is 10% of that $62.3 million awarded for the additional assistance from the American Rescue Plan. The revenue from the competitive grant will be recognized over a 21-month period from January 2022 through September of 2023, which is similar to what we're doing with the ARP grant that we earned from the formula grant, and those are the stimulus funds. Any questions on any of the revenue lines or anything you'd like to address before I move on to operating expense?
The CPS revenue. Where are we stand? So they told us to shut off the badges, right?
Yes, and they are still active, but we are going to be reconciling and giving that credit. We're about a $2.1 million credit, which has been built in.
Okay.
Will be built into the forecast. Had not gotten to that point for the forecast when we did the budget.
Okay. Well, they'd been adamant about turning them off. We have not been turning them off. So
Yes.
We did not.
No, we have not turned them
Okay,
off.
because we don't want kids stuck on the
We
side of
don't
the
want
road.
Do not
stuck
want
on the
kids
side of
stuck
the
on
road.
the road.
I think that's fair, but, okay.
Remind me, you probably said this, the ARP versus ARP comp.
So the ARP we were awarded, it was more like a formula fund that was provided it's similar to the CARES grant and to, in the CRISA funds that we were given. It was allocated through the region, so it was awarded to the regions and then allocated to us. That the ARP competitive grant, we had to actually submit the financials instead, and we were awarded the 62.3.
Okay. All right, sorry I missed that.
Any other questions on the revenue?
Since I
Just to
brought-
make sure we cover that, the fares, we're off by 27% for last month, but that's partially because we had a whole week of
It
free
almost
fares, right?
entirely because of that full week.
So it looks like we're headed in the wrong direction, but
Yeah, it's
we're
not.
headed in the right direction on fares.
Yes, I'd be very interested to see what happens in April. We want to make sure,
Got it.
seeing that if we get that lift, it continues.
Yeah.
But yes, it is almost entirely due to the free fare week.
So I'll also add, the free fare week, we got a big increase in our ridership during that week that we were free.
Yeah.
And even after the week ended, our ridership has continued to be higher than the pre-free fare week. So we believe we picked up a number of new customers because of that free week. I'm really excited about that. We'll be looking for other marketing opportunities to bring new customers to our transit system.
We might have to put some more money in the marketing budget.
I was setting that up.
Sorry, you'll see that in a minute. So, which is great, right? And I think and we know if we get people to try it a couple times, it's not so scary, and they find it convenient, and so that's great if we continue to do that. So
Yes.
that's terrific. And I think it's great that access is kicking up too, because we haven't seen that, like you said. for a
Very
long
excited to
time,
see
so.
favorable ridership anywhere, but that was very much. So I'll move on to total expenses. And the total expenses for the month of $11 million was favorable to budget by $1.5 million or 3.4%. I'm sorry, 11 million or 12.1% for the month, and the year-to-date total expense of 32.3 million was favorable to budget by 3.5 million or 9.9%. So just focusing on some of those key drivers that we're seeing. You can see the wages and benefits. They were favorable to budget by 272,000 or 3.4%, primarily coming from our maintenance wages. We have more open positions than we had budgeted. We had a vacancy rate, but it is higher than we assumed. And then we did not have as many operator trainees as we had anticipated when we did the budget back in November. So those are the two key drivers of the wages and benefits. Fuel and lubricants, which was favorable to budget by 164,000 or 32.6%, was because of favorable price and favorable miles per gallon compared to our budget. The price is coming. We had hedged when we did the budget, we were looking at a hedge of about 85% of our fuel consumption, and actually we were closer to having about 90% once we got into 2022. That's why you're seeing the favorable impact. So we're not seeing the increases because of the current fuel prices. And the miles per gallon, we took a very conservative estimate of where our miles per gallon would be based on the new buses that we got in the in-year. They were too conservative, so we'll adjust that in our forecast. Parts and supplies, unfavorable to budget by 156,000 or 25.8%. The biggest driver here is from the unfavorable revenue vehicle parts expense. We mentioned when we presented the budget that COVID impact from either just our timing of our supplies, and also the price increases. We're seeing a big increase in our revenue vehicle parts, and in the forecast we are anticipating that will continue. We are looking at it to be about 40% higher for the remainder of the year. Hopefully that does not, that trend will ease up. The reason we see it in March and we didn't see it as big of an impact as we did in January and February is because we had parts in stock. So now we're starting to see that impact. Actual, and then the rest of the other, which you see the very last line, our other is our advertising expense, our outsourced services, training, and those areas. It is favorable to budget by 1.2 million or 36.7%, primarily due to timing of a lot of our outsourced services in advertising compared to budget. So I don't anticipate, I'm waiting for the final numbers for those lines in the forecast, anticipating it still to be very close to budget based on the feedback I heard from those areas. And that is all I have. Do you have any questions on the expenses?
Yeah, I got a question is, as far as if there is an accident, there's an expense, would that be under parts and supplies, or is that listed under some other?
For the accidents when we have, it'll
Yeah.
show up in the parts, expense in there, and sometimes in the labor as well.
You mean the repair
The
of the?
repairs of that.
So you're talking about the repairs, not
Yeah.
any other ancillary costs?
All right.
Cindy, a question, so maybe not related right here, but you mentioned the shortage of maintenance workers and then the lower than planned trainee numbers. Is that just kind of based off where we are in the year and it's going to level out, or is that indicative of an upcoming shortage that's then going to drive?
Yes, some of it is, we've had a lot of absenteeism in that area, but some of it is just hiring, bringing people in. We had anticipated the operator trainees, for example, coming in based on the need, the hiring challenge, bringing people in. We've done a lot of great stuff to bring them in, but it's still a challenge getting those new trainees in there.
So one of the things that's happening in transit across the country is there is an operator shortage in truck drivers and bus operators. We are not immune to that. We are short operators today. We fight through this every day. We've just closed the largest union contract we've had. We've changed our starting wage rate from $16.67 to $21.06. We're doing a lot of things, and we can have some conversations offline of all the things we're doing to attract new people to driving buses as well as maintenance employees. But we're experiencing the same labor challenge that the rest of the country is, and especially in transit. There's been a huge labor shortage in transit, and we are fighting our way through it.
Has the contract gone into effect?
Yes.
So have we seen any positive movement from the salary increase?
Adrian, you want to talk about the
Sorry.
positive effect of the new starting wage?
Well, we are seeing some positive movement. The challenge is it's a cycle, so it takes us about 3+ months from the time we start the recruiting process to the time they get on board with us. So it's always slower at the beginning of the year because of the holidays at the end of the year, and then you couple that with the challenges we're seeing. We are starting to see some momentum though in our pipeline. So as the year goes on, you'll see the numbers get larger and larger.
So the number of people that are applying and the number of people that we are hiring have increased. But again, it takes 3 months before they're actually behind the wheel, actually driving the vehicle. So, our hope is that by the end of the year, as we get ready to roll out phase 2 of reinventing Metro, our numbers are up.
So a deep dive next month. We have a HR
Yes.
committee review, right?
Yep.
Couple things. So hedging wise, I'm assuming we're not quite so heavily hedged percentage wise going forward.
For 2022, we are very well
Right.
hedged, and we are moving in. We just met with I met with the head of our hedge, Jeff Lemunion, last week. We were looking at 2023 and getting more and more in there. I'll have an update for that in the forecast
Okay.
presentation. So.
But I understand the question you're asking, and yes, 2023, there will be a big swing on the price of.
Well, and I'm afraid we're going to
diesel.
lock it in if we're not careful. Just the reason I didn't want to be hedged, I wanted to be really more hedged than we were. I wanted to be less
Exactly.
hedged than you might.
And we had,
Got it.
that's one of the reasons he came down. We kind of talked about how to do that. So when we do the forecast presentation, there will be a section on the hedging, because it is a big driver
Yep.
right now, no pun intended.
Well,
but
good
of
news
the-
for us, right? Yeah, so that's good. And then I feel obligated to point this out every month. So the money we're getting from the ARP and the competitive ARP is larger than our surplus, right? So without those, we'd be running a deficit right now.
Yes.
So we have to keep that in mind as we look at our expending
Yes.
and things like that. We know we've announced, what, $70-some million in grants the last 3 weeks. I was telling John we didn't get any this week, so the trend is really not where we want it to be. But we have to be careful about that, because a lot of those funds are very specific to capital projects or unique things, and so we have to be careful we're setting up a long-term
That's
success.
right.
And that's why I know we got to invest in marketing to continue to drive ridership, which is critical. We know that we're doing a lot of things as hopefully we're somewhat coming out of COVID that will let us return to more normal ridership, which is why I think Access is coming up. But so we got to pay attention to all those pieces and not feel like if we could convince ourselves we're in a super rosy picture financially if we're not careful.
Yeah, and with that in mind, on the capital spend, we were always looking 5 years out. Because of that, we are constantly having to make sure these funds are going away in 2023, and so we want to make sure that we are investing wisely and projecting out over the long term.
So for our new board members, the ARP money and the CARES money, these are all operating funds that are one-time dollars. And as they go away, we still have the same operating expense. These are one-time dollars. We have to be really careful and make sure that we're creating a sustainable organization that's sustainable long-term. And COVID has not just caused us the labor challenge, the ridership challenge has changed as well, because as the country has spent more time working from home, it has really changed our ridership. So we're really focusing on our marketing plan moving forward to not just drive the people that were riding the bus prior to COVID back to our system, but actually going out getting new customers for different reasons. So one of the things we'll talk about later on is free rides on opening day to get people to the bus. And you're from New York, so you understand people in New York, they take the bus or the train to the Reds games, and we want people in our region to do those same things, not just to and from work, but to entertainment, to the grocery store, to shopping, to healthcare. So we're really going to focus our marketing plan on our entire region to drive them to the system and show them how easy it is and how competitive it is, how it can save them money in comparison to the things that they're currently doing.
Related to something, I know we felt like we got a big uptick after Blink,
Yes.
pre-COVID, right?
Yes.
And Blink is coming back, and we're working, I'm sure, to be part of that. same thing.
Absolutely.
Best use of the transit center we've ever had.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, terrific. And I know we had to follow up Cincinnati State. They'd reached out to.
Mhm.
And we followed, okay.
Yeah,
good.
we're following up there as
Um,
well, yes.
So great. Thank you. She's just making it rain is what that was. Okay.
Well,
Um,
maybe.
Yeah, we're gonna have a problem. Okay, we're gonna skip on to chairman or CEO report.
You've already covered the mask mandate.
Sorry to steal your thunder.
That's okay. May is Bike Month, so on May the 20th, anyone that uses our system that has a bike, all of our vehicles have bike racks on the front of them. So on May 20th, if you use your bike, you can put your bike on the bus and ride for free on May 20th. Our new CFO is coming on board. His name is Larry Pinkleton. He begins on May the 2nd, and you all will get an opportunity to meet him at the May board meeting. And we also talked about this earlier. Our Voting Bus Award is on Thursday from 6 to 9 p.m. at Music Hall. We'd love to have each of you come. We're really excited this year about our employee awards. Usually our employee awards are just for operators and maintenance employees. This year, our Employee of the Year award will include the entire organization. So we are really, really, really excited about our Employee of the Year award this year. So I hope to see all of you on Thursday night, 6 to 9 at Music Hall. One other thing I'll mention is the new CPS superintendent starts on May 2nd. I have my first meeting with her next week. I believe it's the 27th. We're having a Zoom call, so we'll be starting conversations with CPS with the new superintendent next week. And I'm sure next month we'll be talking to the board again about what next school year looks like as we begin those conversations with CPS.
But we know it means the service similar to this year, just
Yes.
Continue to enhance it and improve it.
Yeah, depending on what CPS decides to do
If
with
they
their
want it, yeah.
RFP.
Well, that's my next question. They haven't done anything with that?
They have not announced what they're going to do with it yet. The last time I talked to their director of transportation, we are not yet beginning conversations on that, so they have not put that information out yet. And they have all of those options still available to them.
But I don't see any scenario where we're not offering bus passes to students if they want them, right?
No.
And, yeah.
For extra hours and those kind of things.
And Craig and I have had a conversation with them saying that we are willing to do that and look forward to the same for the next school year. They have not made their decision, to my knowledge,
Yeah.
of what they're doing for next school year.
They had told us they would let us know in April what their intentions were. So I hope that means soon, right? Because there's some preparation that makes it harder for students in communication if they don't. But that's our expectation, though obviously the shift in superintendent may cause some challenging delays there. If you're finished, John, do you want to, I know you made a presentation to City Hall this week, right?
We did, yeah. Very exciting presentation as part of the Climate, Environment, and
Settle
Infrastructure
down,
Committee.
your excitement.
It was, really. Yeah, get involved with your local government, right? It's very exciting, and it was. A lot of support there, a lot of very good inquisitive questions in terms of everything that's coming infrastructure-wise, new service, a lot of discussion about the infrastructure projects already awarded. But then we took it as a chance to really plug the call for projects for the new year out there. Applications are due June 30, right? How that for projects for
Yes.
the next year? So June 30, we highlighted projects in the region and also projects that receive funding within the city limits. Commissioner Driehaus and I really touted a lot of the great things going on at SORTA, new service coming, mobility on demand studies, BRT in the works in terms of exploring that for the region, but really also emphasizing so much of that is just in a draft conceptual form. So much of that's going to lean on community engagement, stakeholder engagement, massive community outreach, which I think was certainly very well received.
Would you spend just a moment about the guest speaker who spoke by video?
Yeah, nice plug there, Darryl. The committee meeting started with a videotape message from Sherrod Brown, who right off the bat touted the great things happening at SORTA under CEO Darryl Haley's leadership. So that kicked off the session there. Certainly a great start to discussing infrastructure in our region. Yeah.
Right. So
That wasn't supposed to be about
yeah, it always
It was not supposed to be.
I took it there.
But it's nice to have the chair of the Senate Banking Committee talking about the great things that we're doing here. And I am really proud to be a part of the organization and proud of this board for all the hard work of getting Issue 7 passed and moving transit forward in our region, and to have the national stage the way we've had it for the last 2 years has been extremely exciting. And it's nice to hear that Senator Brown in his conversation and his presentations, he constantly mentioned Cincinnati.
Yeah.
When I was at the legislative convention, after his legislative convention in Washington about a month ago, he spoke. And when he got up on the stage, he started his conversation about all the great things that are happening in Cincinnati, which was outstanding. And he started telling Cincinnati stories and about the things that we're doing. So it's really exciting, and I'm proud to be a part of the organization and have this board fight as hard as we have to change what transit means in this region.
Right. And it should be noted that as he was talking about all those great things, Darryl was actually in a different room trying to get more grant money from somebody else. So he missed all the kudos, but well done. And I thought we were going to drop when I was at the White House, this is what they told me.
Yeah.
Story. But yeah, great year, and we have a lot of good things going. We got to keep it going. So next month, I think we're going to get more into the details of mobility on demand.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Wake up, Haled, right? Yeah. The other thing, in case you all didn't, so you know that 25% of the levy that was passed goes to infrastructure projects. You're familiar with this? So that's we're talking about the new round of funding. The call for projects went out on April 1st, and we'll get responses by a virtual session to do some of the action items.
Yes.
We certainly could. I know you could do a quick review of the finance meeting, but
It didn't happen.
because there's no action items to be done there. That was a little joke. Blake, I don't know if you want to comment at all, or you want to wait for the.
That could benefit by participating in the Everybody Rides Metro plan. Please go to the website, reach out, connect.
You remind people what Everybody Rides Metro is, in case they don't know.
Do you want to say that?
Well, it's a program where discounted passes are available for folks to get folks to healthcare, jobs, education, those kind of things. And so it's we put a $500,000 a year aside for that program to provide those, and we're going to get about half the run rate, right, is getting out right now. So
we work.
Or
23,000 roughly for last month.
Right, and we put aside, yeah.
We work with agencies that are 501c3s, and then we reimburse those agencies for their clientele to get to work, healthcare, social services, education of what they pay for the riders, for their passes, and that's day passes, one-ride tickets, monthly passes, access passes, so that they can help more people. So if there are any 501c3 agencies out there that are not a member of ERM, please reach out to us so we can connect you to ERM, so we can help more people.
That's what we do.
I've reached out to a couple people and they're already participating. Yeah.
Good.
I think we should all keep trying to find and connect to anybody who could use that. Again, mobility on demand. If you look in the planning and ops board packet, you can see some information on what's coming. So I think it's worth looking at it, looking at the zones, and thinking about that. So when we get the proposal on what we're going to do or potentially do, you'll be able to consume that more quickly. And I think it is important to note that ridership is up. Missed trips are dramatically down, which is great, but we are seeing some days, I think it was a lot of Fridays, where we were seeing some high numbers of missed trips. Hopefully that will continue to come down as we're bringing more operators on. So we got to keep an eye on that. And I think everything else would be a voting item.
Right.
So few updates. There's a good board packet this month.
Yeah,
So
there
make
you
sure
go.
you check it out if you haven't looked at it.
Yeah, please do. So you get the board packets are in every month and a lot of good information in there. I know we'll have a good discussion around the increased marketing activities. I think are critical to returning us to the ridership levels that were targeted in reinventing Metro. But otherwise, any new business anybody would like to bring up?
On the planning and ops, we asked for a list of the bids. And
They weren't
we
in
never received them, so if that's something you can check into,
Yep.
I think it was myself and Ms. Robertson.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I apologize for the miscommunication. Chanel and I are working together to make sure that we get that information disseminated out and included in the procurement summary reports for those action items that are currently outstanding. But we'll make sure that everybody gets a copy of that updated information.
Thanks, Jen. Yep. Anything else? Sorry, unusual first meeting, I promise. Usually there's a lot more to get done and we have some interesting things to talk about. But looking forward to your membership and thanks everyone else for your support. A lot of exciting things coming up. Otherwise, Rod has to be home by 7:30, you said, right?